Okay, I'm live and I'm here to do some more QRP from here on the floor. It's just gone 9 p.m. local here in Melbourne. We're at Saturday night and we've already got one viewer. Anyway, I am listening via the VK3YE Kiwi SDR. I'm on 80 meters and I'm quite a strong signal on there. So if you have a look at VK3YE's Kiwi SDR site, you'll be able to listen in too. In fact, you'll probably get better audio direct if you do that and have that as one of your tabs compared to if you're just hearing the audio through here, as I'll be sitting back near the transceiver or the transmitter, and it might be a little bit difficult for you to hear the audio coming through. And hello to VK3YE. Now the transmitter here is hello and Belfast. The transmitter is one that you haven't seen before. It's 2 transistor ceramic resonator controlled. So it actually covers the whole bottom end of 80 meters. It's frequency agile, but it does that with just 2 transistors. I got the idea from a thing by AA1TJ. The website isn't currently active, but it's called the Regi, and it was a 1 active device transceiver for 80 meters. And with that Regi, he was able to get 100 milliwatts output on transmit and make it as a frequency agile transceiver with CW frequency offset, with automatic transmit receive switching. Pretty much the only thing it didn't have was the side tone. So that was quite an amazing feat with just 1 transistor. Anyway, I haven't built the receiver part of it yet. I just built 1 transistor, the transmitter bit, and I was quite pleased with the results. I was able to get about 200 milliwatts output with just a BC548, and I could key the voltage, and I was able to get reasonable keying, a little bit of chirp, but not too bad considering that you were keying a ceramic resonator that was frequency agile. And hello to Chris and Alan, who've also joined us. And if you've just joined, I'm about to try some 80 meters this time, QRP. Haven't prearranged anything. And anyway, I've built this 1 transistor transmitter, and I could be heard by various web SDRs, VK5ARG. The one I'm listening to right now, you might be able to hear that noise, is VK3YE. Now, an unusual thing about it, you might be able to hear that noise. Sounds like a carrier. I'll just disconnect the power to my transmitter and see what happens. You might have heard it's just gone. So yeah, this transceiver has a little bit of back wave. When I wasn't keying, it was still transmitting a weak signal. As for its output power, it is probably a few tens of milliwatts. And just to give you an idea, I think conditions are quite good. I'll press the key. Now that is just 2 watts. And that is quite a decently strong signal. Admittedly, that is only to VK3YE, which is about 60 kilometers from here. But I tried earlier on with VK5ARG, and I was also a good signal. So I think conditions are quite good. And anyway, I haven't told you what I've done with the transmitter. I got a couple of 100 milliwatts. I was able to, I measured the current consumption of it, and it was like 34 milliamps and 13.2 volts. So it works out to be about 450 milliwatt DC input. And I'm getting very nearly half of that as an output in the transmitter, which I think is pretty good for something with just 1 device. It's just a single BC548 transistor. that's giving us a couple of 100 milliwatts. So anyway, I've since added an extra transistor, a BD139. I've changed a few of the values in the oscillator, as I initially didn't do that. I just added a BD139, and I could get about 2 watts output. I was keying both the oscillator and the final amplifier stage, but there was a bit of chirp, not too bad, but still a bit more than desirable. So I just went to leaving the oscillator on all the time, which is why you can hear that back wave right now, and just keying the final amplifier. But leaving the oscillator on all the time caused that transistor to get quite warm as it was on continuously, unlike before where I was keying it on and off. So I wound the oscillator back. I increased the value in its resistor, and I was still able to get enough drive to drive the power amplifier. So, and hello to Tom. As to what frequency, have a look at VK3YE's web SDR on 80 meters, bottom CW end of 80 meters. There's not too many signals on at the moment, and I'll be a reasonably strong signal, so I'll be calling in a moment. So yeah, anyway, I will just set up and start calling. Actually, yeah, here's the phone. It's probably sufficiently far away. You probably can't hear much from it. So, yeah, it could be worth listening to VK3YE or any other web SDR in Southeast Australia. May well be able to hear me. Now, I don't know if you heard that or were listening, but that was quite a good CW note, not too much chirp or whatever. Yeah, hello to Matthew. So good luck on the QCX. So I'm just using the web SDR on the phone. I'm using the laptop to transmit the video. So I'm not sure if I can. I don't think I can pipe the audio from the web SDR to this live. Oh, there's a way to do it, definitely, but I think there's a bit of fiddling around to do that. So right now I'll just be listening on the mobile phone. So we'll now try some more calling. Now the transistor is getting a little bit hot. Yeah, in fact, both the final transistor, the BD139 and the BC548 are quite warm. So I'll just remove power a little bit. All right, Christian, have I taken the squid pole out to the beach lately? Don't think I have in last week. Yeah. Yeah. Final amplifier transistor is getting quite hot. Yeah, I'm just using a BD129 with no heatsink. All right, I'll keep calling. Oh. I have stopped. I didn't hear anything coming back just there. All right. Now, the transistor is quite cool, even though I've been pressing. So I will get out the power meter and see what has happened. The RF power meter is just there behind me. And we're not hearing any oscillations. So, hang on. Yes, I am. But all right. So, the BD139 is still, the BC548 oscillator transistor is still working. However, I've obviously blown up the final amplifier stage. I've just plugged in the soldering iron. It's in the other room. So I will now, I'll persist with this. I'll keep going, but with the BD139 out of the circuit, so I will now be down to a 1 transistor transmitter. That will only put out maybe 200 milliwatts, but I will do a quick repair job and have a 1 transistor transmitter only. and I think I would still be audible via VK3YE and some web SDRs, because I tried last night VK5ARG about 600 or 700 kilometers away, and that could still hear my signal. So yeah, while this is built like it is, I'll just give you a close-up of the transmitter. I'll describe more of it in a coming video. There's also going to be a video tomorrow morning our time on another transmitter that you might have seen me talk about and demonstrate. So that's coming first tomorrow. Anyway, okay, you might be able to see it now. That's the variable capacitor. It's just built on a piece of printed circuit board. That's the oscillator transistor. There's an LED in there, and that's to regulate the bias. And this is the BD139 final transistor that I've blown up. What I will do, I'll remove the BD139 and I will connect the output from the oscillator straight to the BNC antenna socket here. And bearing in mind, I do have a low pass filter, so that's between here and the antenna, so that filters out the harmonics. One thing I should mention was when I was playing around with this transmitter, I had the low pass filter. I've got selectable 7 and 3.5 megahertz. I had it on 7 megahertz, and there is enough second harmonic from here to be heard hundreds of kilometers away. I'll do a demonstration of that because I recorded it on a future video. But anyway, I will just make a few small changes to this, and I'll be back in a moment, and you can chat amongst yourselves. And so, yeah, we'll definitely be back on the air in a short time. All right, this is the stripped down transmitter. The ferrite output ferrite going straight to the antenna socket, so no power amplifier. And we will see if the signal can still be heard. Oh, first of all, I'll do some power measurements. Okay, bit hard to see, but yeah, it's about 200 milliwatts. So that's what I got before. So haven't damaged the BC548, so that's fine. Oh, I didn't measure it with the low pass filter in line, so I'll just do that. Yep, that's fine. In fact, you might have just heard. Bit of chirp, but still it's sort of okay. Now connecting the antenna. You don't need a power meter anymore. Now, you might have just heard that on the phone, but we are now transmitting. And you can just hear the signal there. So definitely getting out. Weaker than before, but you never know. So we'll try some more calling. Now, if you are watching this at home live, if you've just come on, I'm just trying some very low power 80 meter CW as I've blown up the final transistor in a 2 transistor transmitter. So now I'm just using the oscillator. It's a ceramic resonator, 1 transistor, BC548, putting out about 200 milliwatts. So I will now go back to some calling. Just so that you know what's going on, I'll just have this other rig as a side tone. Now, I just heard someone, I'm not sure if they were for me, a slightly different frequency. If I was giving a report, if I was listening to VK3YE, if I was at that station, I'd probably just be a readability 5, probably about a strength of 2 or 3. Might be fading, that might drop the signal down, but certainly easily able to have a contact. So I'll try another call. And hello to Paul and a few other people. No, I do have plenty of BD139s. Yeah, it probably would have been just as easy for me to have replaced that, but without putting on a heat sink, I would. I'd probably blow that one up as well. So that's for tomorrow, I think. And yes, I am in the. I'm certainly not on 3579. I'm much lower down in the band in the CW segment. And for those who are interested, my frequency is, I've got the WebSDR set to 3530 lower sideband. Maybe if you might be able to hear it even better if there was a narrower setting for the CW filter. And yes, you could use an IRF 510 and get a bit more power. You could probably use this to get about 5 watts with an IRF 510. In fact, a similar transmitter I built for 7 megahertz didn't even need any DC bias on the IRF 510. And of course, you need that if you're making it for SSB or double sideband, but for CW, if you don't have the DC bias, then that's the control that you adjust and you blow things up. I think as George found, if you adjust the bias on the IRF 510, it is so critical. So if you can have a circuit that doesn't have it, and you can for a CW transmitter where you don't need the most gain in the final, then yeah, that's one way around it. Anyway, we'll try another call. I'm on 3530 as heard on the lower sideband receiver. So have a tune around there, Paul, and you may or may not hear something. It's one. Oh, there's a loud signal there. VK3YE. I'm giving him a 599. All right. Well, there's VK3YE as well. is invulnerable. Okay, so just to put you in the picture, I'm now in contact with Paul VK3YE. Now VK3DA I think is about 20 kilometers from here. Balnarring, which is further south. Whereas VK3UA was at Warrnambool, about 300 kilometres further west of here. So that was quite a good effort. VK3UA gave me 559. Paul VK3DA has just given me 579. Yeah, I doubt that you're hearing my signal and the other stations of VK3, VK3DA. So now there's Paul signing off. Now, how warm is this transistor? Yeah, no, it's okay. Well, that was much more successful. Oh, VK3HN. Now, I am cheating. I am using the web SDR, but anyway. 539. $73. Whoops. Our phone is, hang on. Okay, back. Well, it's amazing. 3 contacts very quickly. Admittedly, I was cheating using the VK3YE WebSDR. And I will, there's another station on there as well. And by the way, I am using, for people who've just tuned in, a 1 transistor transmitter. It's frequency agile. Uses a ceramic resonator, so it covers the bottom 50 or 60 kilohertz of 80 meters. So if there's a situation like right now where there's some other activity on the channel, I can easily dodge it. So yeah, it's just a BC548, a few other parts. I did have higher power earlier on, but I was didn't have a heat sink on the final transistor. So before I put out more CQ calls, this frequency I don't think is much good. There's interference. So I will go down a couple of kilohertz. And hello to Paul. And yeah, good signal for 5 watts. Community resource, yeah. Well, anyway, 3528. All right, so I've gone down a couple of kilohertz now. The tuning dial here is a bit awkward, so I'll use this to help out. Put this on 3528. And yeah, as was mentioned, bit of chirp, bit of drift, but really not too bad given that it is 1 transistor. You're demanding, 200 milliwatts is a lot to get out of 1 transistor, especially if you're not even using a crystal. I'm using a ceramic resonator, which gives me way more pulling range. I can cover pretty much the whole band. Anyway, well, 3528.0. I was listening on 3530 LSB, so I would have probably been on 3529. Anyway, I will go down a little bit. Okay, right now, if your receiver's on LSB, 3528 is where I am. So I'll put out some more CQ calls. I'm not sure how many people, getting 3 calls answers like that is amazing. I'm not sure how many of the people, I know you were, Paul, were watching the video. Not sure if the others were. So I will put out some more calls. I'll turn this up so you hear what it sounds like. Well, okay. To off grid, are you able to get some sort of recording? Um, and it sounds like your tone, but it's not proper until you've got the call sign. So I'll put out another call. I'll slow down a bit. I'll repeat the call sign lots, and hopefully, it would be good to see if you can, if it's strong enough to identify. So I'll keep going. Hang on, I think I might have bumped it. So, yeah, okay, I will. Ah, okay, I'm now on frequency again. Um, well, okay, instead of VK2GGC, George, you might want to try VK5ARG. Would be it could be a good prospect. I tried them early on, and the signal was okay. But I'm listening through VK3KHZ, which is in a reasonable location. It's about 50 or 60 kilometers, so anything that can hear, would be quite good. And hello to Paul, and thanks for the contact. And glad I'm making it out to Gippsland. Well, it is only 200 milliwatts and one transistor. And I should mention that I'm hitting the key pretty hard because I'm keying the contacts. The key is in series with the power. The transmitter currently is drawing about 34 milliamps, 13 volt, 34 milliamps, so about 450 milliwatt DC input, output power about 200 milliwatt. And even with that, I find if you hit the key, if you slap it like this, you want a firm positive contact, especially if there's a lot more current going through the key than would be if you're using a keying transistor or something like that, which I'm not. So, and that was especially when I was keying that 2-watt transmitter before. There was like probably about 200 milliamps or more going through it. Anyway, well, we'll try again. Well, Chris, you could try receiving on upper sideband, say 3526 upper sideband, and that might or 3527 upper sideband, and that might mean that you're 0 beat on that loud interfering station, and you might have a better go. Now, it's odd that 1CT couldn't hear you, George. You must have high local noise level, because that sort of distance is about the same. Sydney to Canberra is about the same that I had just a while ago working VK3YE, about 300 kilometres. Mark, thanks. AREG, you seem to, no matter what I do, AREG can always hear me, pretty much. Not surprising. I'm not making it to the USA. It's only 200 milliwatts, and it's not a great antenna. And thanks, Mark. Yeah, all your efforts are much appreciated. I'm not sure if you saw there was a video from the Art of Engineering. There's a video in which there is, I think, use of the VK5 ARG SDR. So that was great. And Matthew, glad that you've got my signal. Not a real contact. I wouldn't, count this in any award, but a bit of a novelty, especially when there's no one else around. But tonight, that hasn't been a problem. It's been great. Lots of activity and lots of contacts just with this 200 milliwatt. And the signal's getting stronger and stronger at VK3KHZ. It's a very solid signal now. It's a bit difficult keying CW while hearing it coming back. It's a bit easier if you... Now, a bit of a hint, and I'll give you once I finish this call. Oh, time out in 1 minute. All right, I might lose my web SDR in a moment. I have been using it for quite a bit. So maybe that's the end of the session. What was the hint? Oh yeah, if you're hearing something on SDR, it can be really hard to hear your keying and then also send keying at the same time. Sometimes if you're getting syncs to a chirpy signal, that's probably me actually. I'm not sending right at the moment, but it is pretty close to 3527. Yes, the Kiwi SDR can only be used for 75 minutes. Now, I'm not sure if that applies to individual SDRs or whether I can go and use another SDR. But yeah, what I was saying before is that if you are listening to your own keying, sometimes at certain speeds you can get it in sync if you're repeatedly sending CQ. So that can really help. But otherwise, if you have a receiver, a local receiver, doesn't need much of an antenna, just enough to hear your signal. You want to adjust its frequency so it's a different pitch, very different pitch to what you're hearing coming back on the web SDR. And so then you can much more easily discern the notes. And I prefer it a lot higher, like that. So you can very clearly, even though it may not be louder than what you're hearing back through your web SDR, it's distinct. So you know that that's your keying. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there. Anyway, it's been a pretty good night, despite the transistor blowing up. It proved that even without that, you didn't really need it to get contacts. So quite pleased with that. Yeah, as I mentioned before, tomorrow morning, I think it's about 7 a.m. our time, but it will be a more convenient time in Europe and United States. There'll be a video will come up. It's probably up there as a preview that will describe one of my simple QRP rigs. And yeah, this rig will probably be some other video described in a future video. But yeah, just one transistor. I'm sort of thinking, should I leave it as one transistor or should I add another and put the BD139 back? And yeah, and then I think, well, maybe I should add a receiver to it. I could have a 4 transistor, have quite a serviceable 4 transistor transceiver, I reckon, on 80 meters. And the good thing about it is it will be frequency agile. I can cover the bottom 50 or 60 kilohertz of the band. It can be a decent power. It can be 2 watts output. As you might have heard right at the beginning of this video, if you joined in later on, you can, I'll keep this video up so you can listen again. But my signal with 2 watts was really quite strong. So yeah, then all I need is probably a couple of transistors for the receiver. Like I did a video a few days ago where I could get 1 transistor to work as a receiver. It was a reflex receiver, and it was driving, I've got it somewhere around here, driving a crystal earpiece. And yeah, because this is one of my more recent transmitters. It's 2 transistor, 7 megahertz. The thing about it is that it is crystal controlled. It can only change in frequency by 1 or 2 kilohertz. Whereas what I've got down here on 80 meters uses 3.558 meg ceramic resonator, and it can go down to the bottom of the band. So yeah, even though 40 meters is a great band for QRP, probably my favorite band, you're more likely to get longer distances than 80 meters. At this time of night for contacts within your own state, 80 meters is a good band. One of the difficulties with 80 meters is it's harder to get crystals for the CW end of the band. Because with 40 meters, you can just go on eBay and get crystals like 7023 is quite good. Although having said that, in Australia, there's a lot of CW activity on 7025 or 7028. With 7025, if you have a 7023 mega crystal and have a low value of capacitance in series with it, you can just get up to 7025 and be able to be heard by the people there. If you whereas on 3.5 megahertz, CW crystals seem to be hard to get. The common frequency is 3.58, 3579, which George was using the other night. But generally speaking, There might be digital activity, other activity. A lot of CW guys might not be tuning that high up enough. So if you can get a crystal lower down in the band, then you'll get lots more random contacts. So ceramic resonator is pretty good. It, like in this case, it gives a really good frequency coverage. So yeah, if you tolerate the little bit of extra chirp, in fact, I got rid of the chirp pretty much when I was having the final amplifier. I was leaving the oscillator on all the time and just keying the final, and that was enough to get rid of the chirp. However, having the oscillator on all the time, running about 200 milliwatts, that was probably a bit much for the BD139, and it was getting quite warm. And also when you look at what AA1TJ had built, that was his Reggie. He had the oscillator running all the time as well. That was to provide a BFO for the direct conversion receiver. In fact, he was using no gain at all in the receiver, just the oscillator. So, yeah. So, yeah, a lot of things you can do with a few transistors and real simple QRP stuff. So, yeah, great that there's enough activity to sustain that sort of thing and people coming back to your calls and whatever. So, yeah, I've been going for over an hour, 20 past 10 in the evening here in Melbourne. So we'll just have a short general Q&A if there's any stuff you want to discuss or questions. Then we might call it a night pretty soon. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, with the two transistors. Well, chirps for the birds. Actually, no. Another thing of chirp, it's also good for powering your for programming your Baofeng, the memory channels. And hello to Chris from cold England. Well, it's middle of summer, as you can probably tell here. So it's been some, weather's had some hot days, but pretty good. So haven't been doing as much portable operating because I have been doing a bit of construction and stuff, which has been good because there's been like a whole couple of months or more where I haven't plugged in the soldering iron. So what frequency was the ceramic resonator? Question from Chris Wilson. And there's already an answer. Mini kits, but the ceramic resonator I've used is 3.58 megahertz. So it's pretty much the same 3579. The difference with the ceramic resonator compared with the crystal is the ceramic resonator isn't as stable as the crystal, but it can be pulled much further. Like a 3.58 meg ceramic resonator, I've had it pulling like 100 kilohertz span of 80 meters. You can cover lots of frequencies with it. And you can also get ceramic resonators, I think 3.68 or 3.69. And if you have one of those ceramic resonators, that's a really good frequency. You can get good pulling range for a double sideband transceiver. You could build a little double sideband red. In fact, I was actually just thinking the other day, if I can get 200 milliwatts out of one transistor with a ceramic resonator, that can generate enough drive by itself, in fact, more than enough drive for the balance modulator. Problem is with a diode balance modulator, it does have a big conversion loss. So you're down to a few milliwatts output, and then you need to amplify it lots and lots. But you might just be able to get something like 20 milliwatts output with just maybe one transistor following the balance modulator, maybe. And then you'd be generating double sideband with probably 3 transistors, one for the RF oscillator, one for the first RF amp. So really, you probably need 2 or 3, say 3 to get 2 watts, and another one for the microphone amplifier. Is a 3 transistor transmitter next? Well, I have already described or maybe it's tomorrow's video. I've lost track because I have done quite a few videos. But I did a video where I talked about the 1 transistor receive add-on, and I've got transmitters where I've built 2 versions of them. I've got this thing here is a 2 transistor transceiver, puts out about half a watt on 7 meg with the BD139, and then up here, where is it? Up here, this is a 3 transistor transceiver, and I've previously described the transmitter part. I'll just hold it still so you get a better view. So yeah, this is now a 3 transistor transceiver. If you look at my video, 10-minute transmitter, that's the transmitter part, and the video I had just a few days ago about the 1 transistor receiver direct conversion reflex receiver, that's the other remaining part. So I've just got the crystal oscillator running all the time. You can see the crystals right there. So yeah, 3 transistor transmitter. Well, this is a 3 transistor transceiver. Thought about mucking around with Arduinos. Yeah, I've done it a little bit. I've made a few things like beacon keyers and whatever, and CQ callers. VK3YE, and that's 2 meters. What would you do with an old AM only 27 meg 23 channel CB radio? Well, the final transistors could be quite good for something, although that might seem a bit of a waste if it's. I have built. Actually, what you could do. I'll just see if I've got it. It's out of the. It's on in the other shelves. Where is it? Somewhere I have. Oh, that's okay. There it is. This is a converter. It converts 27 meg to 7 meg, and for a receiving converter. And there's 2 controls on the front. In fact, if you look at the little cheat sheet on here, it tells you what frequencies coincide to what channels. And all right, so I built it nearly 10 years ago. And so as you can see, it covers a fair bit of the 7 megahertz band. And that's only some of the channels. Anyway, what I did, how I built this was I used 10 megahertz crystals, and I used the harmonic of it. I don't think I had a frequency doubler in there. Let's open it up. Do I have a screwdriver? Yes, I do. Can I undo it? Yes, I can. Anyway, it's like only 3 transistors. I've sort of forgotten. But with a 10 megahertz crystal on its second harmonic, gives you 20 megahertz. And your 27 meg CB, that's 27 meg, so it's an up converter. And inside here, now of course the 27 meg CB is channelized, and of course amateur bands are not. So for that reason, I've got right here 2 crystals in parallel on 10 megahertz. And that allows quite a big frequency swing, especially on your harmonic of 20 megahertz. So it's quite easy to swing it by 10 kilohertz or so. So it covers the gaps between the channels. Now, of course, if your set is AM only, we're trying to receive CW and SSB signals and stuff. Well, yeah, why have I got this? Yeah, interesting. Well, that's why I have another oscillator. I'm pretty sure I've got, just having a look at, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got another oscillator in it that allows it to operate as a BFO, so I can hear SSB. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I have, or do I have it? Just trying to trace the circuitry. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could have a BFO operating on either 27 megahertz or even on 10 megahertz or 20 megahertz, whatever the frequencies involved in the conversion. Oh, in fact, yeah, that's what I did. I had the BFO actually operates on the signal frequency or subharmonic. So you might just be able to see that yellow thing in there. That is a ceramic resonator for, I think it's for 3.5 megahertz. So, of course, the harmonic of that is sufficiently strong that operates as a BFO at signal frequency, so that whenever you change the frequency on receiving, you need to switch to another channel on the CB. You might need to fine-tune the 20 megahertz doubled from 10 megahertz oscillator. So then you're hearing the duct torque, then you tune in the SSB properly with your ceramic resonator. So yeah. So you can hear amateur signals on 7 meg with a converter. Another possibility is 27 meg AM/CB. You could make a transverter for 160 meters and a receiver. Do I still build valve stuff? No, I haven't done for ages. But I did build one of my. I haven't had it going for a while. In fact, I had this receiver that, even though it's valve, it just runs off 12 volts, and that's for the high tension as well. Let's see. I'll see if I can easily set it up. Now this is it. This is a valve receiver. It's a regen receiver. It uses a 12AT7, something like that. And its performance on the AM broadcast band is outstanding. Let's see if it still works. I'll show you the insides first. It uses a ferrite rod. So it just looks like a conventional valve receiver. It's only one valve. I think it's got an IC audio amplifier. So it's an LM386. And there are some other bands, like I think it does 160 meters at the moment. Anyway, we'll plug it in. We've had enough transmitting for tonight, so now speaker. Yeah, these headphones will do. Do I need the antenna or not?
And that is a remake of a German film from 1933 called Victor und Victoria. And when you think about it, if Victoria, she's a German drag artist doing the cabaret Weimar scene, but the
Okay.
German film would have been made
You should be able to hear that.
contemporaneously with that scene.
Oh, really?
So it would have been about what's going on.
Hold
I'll
that
just see if I
thought,
can
CJ, because we're
move
just going
the
to take
computer
a little bit of
nearer the
pause,
receiver.
to welcome listeners from other ABC networks who have been watching the footy, have been watching a fabulous NRL game between the Indigenous group and the Maori team. And,
Okay.
With the next, we adopt bands and make them Australian. Because the next one.
This is a band switch. It operates on several bands.
can I tell you, I met Mark.
No, it's not Triple R. It's we're on the AM broadcast band. All right, so we've got band switch. We haven't tried this receiver for a while. In the middle is the volume.
We supported them. Rocket
Then
supported them.
there's the regen.
I thought I'm actually going to get to meet Mark Hunter and Todd Hunter. Room next to us.
Anyway, we might as well do. It goes from 500 kilohertz up to 1.8 megahertz. So we will do. We'll do a full band scan of this. Now, what is this? Oh, yeah, I've got an RF gain control at the back. Okay. So, hands covering all the controls, so it's a bit hard for you to see what goes on. Yes, grown up ABC. Anyway, we will. Now, down here. Now, this is a bit off the broadcast band. Yeah, nothing on 500 kilohertz. Although we have a beacon on 486. I can't remember if this goes down low enough. And dB, I think it's still there. Anyway, we do have a strong signal. I think it's about 100 kilometers away on 531. So we'll know. There it is there. Now, if I try to upload a video with that on it, I might be done for copyright because of music and stuff. But now there, I've actually got the receiver oscillating. And there, it's not. So this receiver is actually quite stable, even with it oscillating. And arguably, there's a bit less sideband cutting. Now, that station is actually, yeah, I'm not sure if it's, anyway, I'll leave the receiver like this. Now, see if we can tune in more. Probably better to have the receiver in, yeah, there's probably monetization gone. Here, carriers there. This does have a very good vernier drive.
Unlucky tonight, but for us, we'd love to win it, win, lose or draw. The week's been amazing. We met some brothers in here. Learned some.
I think this might be 549, which from memory, I think it's a really high power ABC station in New South Wales. You just heard it just went on oscillation there. Yeah, I can hear carriers every 9 kilohertz on this. But this is just the control of this regen is excellent. Yeah. Now that's a station just popped out there. So just tune away from it. Now, down here, you could argue it's quite boring because a lot of the stations are ABC carrying the same program, but if you keep listening, we'll go up to the higher end of the band where there's more commercial stations. You start to get longer distances, and you might even hear something on 160 meters. So we'll keep tuning up. Like we're still below 600 kilohertz. And you can hear there's a strong signal that's...
Financial stability is a concern, but you can always cut. You've got high enough interest rates and you end up with a problem of financial...
Like that's what a strong local signal sounds like.
You can always cut interest rates if you have to. And that's what, that's like a medical... I've come up with many medical analogies to that. You don't cut interest rates just in case you have to cut them. And this is the problem of using financial stability as part of one of your instruments, one of your targets for a single instrument. So you don't want too many instruments. You want as many instruments as you can, and that means fiscal policy.
So regen all the way back.
That means the whole range of tax reform in particular, shifting from income-based taxes to function-based taxes, the whole range of things we could do, which the reserve bank doesn't have any influence over.
And you tune off to a side, and it's you're still hearing that station. You can wind back the RF gain, or you can advance the regen.
Where we're going to take some questions from our listeners, and they have flooded in. But go, you get the first one,
and you can just hear that station in there.
I know. I will quickly point out that 5 months ago, a house 2 doors up from me. Not if anyone picked the camera, they know Abu Dhabi house. You will bulldoze it very quickly.
Yep. Well, yeah. This one is 12 volts high tension.
Saturday, it sold again. The new owners hadn't. I think they changed the top of the shed out the back. It sold for $1.217 million. Now, 20% return on 5 months. Look, I know some Ponzi. I've met some Ponzi scheme operators who don't even offer that sort of return. So, and you will not be surprised. A lot of the questions we're coming through is monetary policy and housing prices. The starting point is: should the RBA be worried about housing prices? If they are, can they do anything to mollify what's going on, or is this?
No, there is no inverter. Like ideally with this receiver, you'd have it teamed up with a tuned loop that you would set up to minimize to null out the local station, then you'd be able to hear the others. But yeah, that's an interstate station there.
Obviously, the Titans spending their positions in there and making sure they're staying around for longer. How excited are you? Edgeback rows that must obviously, and
yeah, more information on this receiver is on a website called Cool386. I think it's called Vintage Technology or something, but a lot of circuits and things. Now we've got some more music. Here we're about 650 kilohertz. It's probably a bit hard to see the pointer, but there it is.
Air Supply when I'm feeling all lovey-dovey.
Do you?
Yeah, it was actually Air Supply would have been one of the first albums I bought. I think I bought a Best of Air Supply album when I was a teenager. So
You know, they've made so much money.
oh yeah, I know. They've done all right, haven't they?
They have. And do you want to know a really nice story?
Yeah.
Okay, Russell Hitchcock, the singer.
Now there's a signal in there.
We've got New South Wales, Victoria, and ACT where they're easing restrictions after what will have been another quite significant economic.
We're now at about 700 kilohertz. You reckon I could sell that? Yeah, nah. You'd be struggling to give these away.
Can't thank you enough for the week. So proud of the boys tonight. And lastly, just want to thank our fans who turned up tonight in these conditions. For both Indigenous and the Māori cultures. Proud of respect to you all. And lastly,
action cinema. It was one of the very best examples. And then Martin Scorsese remakes it as The Departed with an all-star cast, including Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Wahlberg. And it wins the Oscar for Best Picture. And it's, you know, after the huge career that Martin Scorsese's had, he finally wins his Best Director Oscar for The Departed, which was a remake. And that always sort of feels a little bit weird.
Yeah. Alison, did you see the remake? Yes, I saw the remake, but I didn't. When I was watching it, I didn't.
Nah. Now we're moving up to around 800 kilohertz.
But you used me for your joke, 'cause I thought your deal was clean. Well, you did me pretty, baby.
With this success, engineers went to work refining the design. As on the first tunnel crossing, the SRN-1 struggled to 1930s. I mean, obviously, it didn't matter. You could just change the actual intertitles. But once we got into the early downfield,
These are, I think, only about 9 kilohertz apart.
favourite here is with number 1, Summer Moon. A little bit shaky. Has been firm, but off the inside draw, she can be a little bit shaky. So punters will be somewhat concerned. They'll be closing the eyes and hoping for the best early if she gets outside.
Yeah, we're just before the point of regeneration here. Bit of fading there.
To the 1-1 yellow hard never hose. Now 7 Emirates is going to put the pressure on the leader here. He's going to shoot to the top. So 7 Emirates goes to the top.
That's the late singer Jorge Oñate, accompanied by accordionist Miguel Lopez, and the song No Voy.
Here, there's 2 stations on the 1 frequency.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, where every listing around Australia for Tyre Power. Their buying puts the power in your lane. Picks the Tyre Power and the Aussie Angus Burger at Macca's today. 1-300-23-55, whatever. Leave the lines open.
Now, this is a case where I think it's only 9 kilohertz separation, and it's from a local station.
Reaching up to 40 knots at sea as their land gear retracts back into the hull, the glider boats are able to move.
here, Draw. When we got PAC Kitchen and Joinery to custom design storage solutions for us, the ability to tidy up quickly was one of my things. I mean, my kids make just as much mess as anyone else would.
一言で表現するとどういう人ですかね。いつも僕、
Dubbo, so I think that's 2DU.
We're seeing, another part of his game that we.
A lot of people drop off, and it sort of once I got the divorce, I struggled with that for a good 12, 18 months, and then I got.
Now that was some CW on 160.
可以在每天早上6点和下午6点20分收听中国之声。来呢，看精彩广播节目，我们在央视频等你。我是主持人程程，代表导播王老多、王英，节目监制徐佳慧。
时间的考验就在尽头，听着乡音传行。
好友相似，非常可乐，生产制成。
Get them for snow and remain very curious about a lot of other winter sports.
Well, to me, I think, the phenomenon of having goo is one of the most interesting things that's happening during this Winter Olympics in Beijing. And let's still remain hopeful that, Thank you for talking to us. Expert on Chinese sports at University.
Potential when the sesh switching clear.